All right, my friends, welcome to another edition of Moonhawk Studios Presents. I am your host, Mac Paladin, and I'm still echoing in the background, but that's okay. Uh, with me in the studio are my good friends, Adam.
Hello?
Unfortunately, Kevin is off this week. We do
He's at a
have,
baseball game.
indeed, we do have Petty Fan, though.
Oh God, where am I? Why does it
Right.
smell like meat?
The Galax is here. Maybe.
That is an alleged fact. I had myself muted so I didn't make noise over the theme.
Oh, God. And of course, we have Varias on music and other entertainment.
Or she's dead.
You're killing my show here.
How am I killing your show?
When I say your name, you're supposed to say, "Hi, everybody," like you always do.
Oh, well, hi everyone.
God fucking damn it!
Did I break Kevin?
Kevin's not here.
That's right. Kevin's not here.
That was
Who's
Petty.
cackling? Oh,
That was
Petty.
that was.
I am so used to. That's why I'm fucked up because I've got audio looping on me here because I didn't mute the site while I had the stream up.
That would explain Max echoing.
Oh my God. Potato Sniff would be proud. You know, the rumor, as always, is that we have a great show for everybody, and I hope to God everybody has it on in the background, so muted, so that way we can actually pretend to have viewers this week. Nudge, wink, nudge, wink.
Right. Like I said, I have it on in the background because that's what I do.
Yeah, but you're on the same IP address.
Yeah.
See, Kira is right behind me.
Right. I'm sitting directly behind him across the same room.
Quick, activate your VPN.
Quick, throw things at Mac.
Oh God, how to get yourself banned from Twitch 101?
Right. You don't do that.
Yeah, please do not. All right. Before, of course, we get to our guest, we have our usual news segment. Last week, of course, we missed out on having our guests and did another Inside the Studio episode, which is not usually part of our plan, but we do actually have a guest this week. And before we get to that, Adam, what you got cooking in the news?
And really, like, finally turned on the AC because spring's over. Like, it's regularly getting up to the high 80s here, and the 90s are approaching. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's dark and it's 83 here in Tucson.
I mean, the nights are still not that bad, but the true mark of summer in Florida isn't so much the heat as when the rain starts. That fucking humidity. So
Well, yeah.
All right. Well, we got to work on you making stuff up for your stories then. That way,
Right.
that way we can fill some more dead air because that is the hallmark of our podcast. Dead air.
Dead air.
Yeah.
Now with 73% more dead air.
States we got to make a play for the.
No, you see, they got to include the dead air in the packaging because if they don't, all of the chips will get crushed.
I'm sorry, Adam. You were saying?
These days we got to make a play for the brothers chaps.
Yeah, maybe we can finally get them on after like only a decade and a half of trying.
I don't think we've ever tried actually.
I thought
Like-
you did email them like way back in 2013.
Maybe, but that was just like a routine email at best.
Back when they were
It's like-
pretending that Strong Bad had nothing to do with anything that they were doing.
Also, that was when they were on a very extended hiatus.
Yeah.
I know they're not regularly producing Homestar stuff these days, but certainly more than nothing.
I saw a Strong Bad email not that long ago.
Yeah, apparently that was from an unfinished thing from 4 years back when they were doing the Trogdor campaign. But
They are making a few occasionally, though.
yeah,
Like, it hasn't been 5 years, which I think it had been at one point. Years, which I think it had.
mm-hmm.
Repetition.
Anyway,
All right. Howdy, fam. What you got cooking?
Not a whole lot.
I like how you beamed in there like you flipped an 80s style switch to get on the channel.
Oh no, I unmuted my mic because I was sneezing. So
I know, but there was like a hard beep, like it was from the original Starship Enterprise or something.
yeah. But yeah, not a whole lot new over here. Life's quiet. I turned 30 on Saturday. Moving on.
I mean, that's not too terrible. Let's
I
be
mean,
fair here.
I'm turning 30, but I feel like I have the body of an 80-year-old.
Fair enough.
His body is racked with issues.
Considering the fact that I now realize you've been with us for roughly 9 years, I felt like you'd be older by now.
I mean,
I was just a wee zygote when I joined this podcast.
How did you know?
Well,
yeah.
I felt like I was going to make an in utero joke there, but I'm going to just let that one go.
Yeah, and then you said that, and I'm like, I want to listen to some Nirvana. Because in utero joke.
Yes.
Yes. All right, Golix, what you got cooking?
It's Administrative Professionals today, which I count as.
Okay.
So I got a nice card at work. Excuse me, I'm sneezing for no reason. It's a little bit rainy. I have a bit of a headache today, so I might be a little quieter. We'll see. Otherwise, not too much going on. Been playing the DLC for Super Robot.
You cut out there.
Yeah,
Wars 30, and also playing a little bit of Kirby and the Forgotten Land. And yes, that was a long sneeze.
Oh, okay. You muted again, so you didn't
Yes, I'm
sneeze
muting myself so I don't sneeze into the mic because I don't think people like listening to that.
Got it.
I think that's about it.
It's just weird because you're in the middle of a sentence and all of a sudden there's the silence, and I'm like,
Yeah,
like, did you hit
I
the
realized it
button?
was weird, but I didn't feel like waiting the entire time until I sneezed before I started it. So
Oh, whoops.
I hit the Metal Gear alert sound. That's
I guess minimal courtesy. I don't know, whatever.
no, that's good. It's good. It's good.
I think that's about all I have.
Okay. Kira, what's cooking?
Not a ton actually. We had all this other stuff going on where I had dinner stuff, so and we did the dentist thing, and it didn't go quite the way I planned. Instead, we got X-rays and had a discussion. Do I get rid of one tooth or three? And I'm like, I think I'm just going to get rid of the one because I don't want a void in the back of my mouth.
Get rid of 12. Wait, no, hold on.
Go away.
Well, I mean that may be in the future, but that's a whole other discussion. It's still your turn.
Well, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I mean, the dentist was the big thing. I don't really think there was anything else. I mean, I did have a video chat with my dad, but that's not a conversation I really want to delve too far into here for these purposes.
You could talk about getting into Overwatch too.
Well, okay, yeah, I suppose I could do that. So I was up early for doctor stuff this morning, and I went ahead and threw on one of the sponsored streams, and I got my beta key today, and got into Overwatch 2. Played one match as each role. I feel like it took me a second to get my bearings with Soldier a little bit, but the new sound design,
activated.
the new sound design with the shots, especially with Hanzo, makes the bow feel a lot beefier, which is kind of amazing. On tank, they've done a lot of changes to specifically like Hog's damage has been dropped back down to like early 2021 numbers. So instead of being able to do 6.6 damage per pellet, it's back to 6. And I have a cat in my face. And there's that. And the last thing that I can think of right off the top of my head is that in the middle of all that, I swapped over and tried out Reinhardt, who feels a lot better as far as like his control. You can start and stop your charges. You can steer a little tighter than you can in Overwatch 1, which is nice. And then I played one support match as Ana, who feels a little harder than she used to be. She controlled really well. I managed to actually survive a situation that I thought was for sure going to kill me. Between a Sombra and a Reaper. So I was super surprised about all of that. But hey, I'm game.
She's playing Overwatch 1 right now.
which is what I do when we're streaming.
Yep. Hey, don't forget to host the channel in the background.
I've got the channel up, so it only counts one way. I don't believe.
No, I'm saying host it so that your viewers.
Well, you don't actually get credit for that as an affiliate. It does not count toward your 75.
Ah.
I didn't know if you knew that or not. Raids and hosts do not count. They have to be a direct link into the site.
Well, I was hoping people would actually cross over by seeing it, but that's okay.
I was actually looking into that the other day. But yeah, so all in all, pretty nifty. I actually managed to get a nice little peek at everything for a second. I'm probably going to take another look at it later.
All right.
All right.
A couple of things worth noting. Of course, he was talking about the sound mixing and engineering in the game. Of course, that being one of her areas of expertise, one of many. If somebody might have thought that an unusual thing to bring up as a noteworthy change.
Yeah.
There's a big problem right now in Hollywood with sound engineering, and that is that because of CGI and everything else that they're doing, a lot of filmmakers are reluctant to actually put boom mics too close to the actors. And so as a result, everybody is shouting and they have to and they're just basically handing the raw audio to the engineers and saying, deal with it in post.
That is the most hated phrase for an editor.
Right.
We had a moment like that the other day. I'll get into that in a minute here. So the flip side of that, of course, now that it's my turn, is that I did not get into the beta program because I work overnights and I didn't get up until 4, so I only got 2 hours of watch time before I was summarily shut down by Twitch drops. And so I did not get my key because I didn't get 4 hours on there, and I lambasted both Blizzard and Twitch.
Watch time for what?
You had to watch 4 hours within an 8-hour window of people playing Overwatch 2 to get the Overwatch beta key on Twitch. And it was only available from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific time on Twitch.
That sounds like a very strange system.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people who were invited to the beta program who were specifically supposed to be hosting the channel didn't start until after 2 p.m.
All of the frustration.
Yeah, so some of them, like one of them, I clocked it. I started at 4 o'clock, and they had only been streaming for about an hour, which means that there was no way anybody was getting the drop from that channel because they started with 3 hours left to go. And I don't know if people are familiar with how drops work on Twitch, but it's not like rideshare streaks where if you catch the first ride before the streak period ends, you get to keep going until you line off. Nope. Doesn't matter how much you accrued. If you're over the limit, you're out. So yeah, I sent a hard, nasty gram to them on to both Blizzard Entertainment and Twitch for doing that. I guess they have limited server space or something, or they're just being.
Oh well, queue times were insane too because apparently they've only got limited, and queues were running 2 hours plus for a hot bit.
Yeah. So yeah, I have no idea what the plan was there, but it was not extremely well executed. So I have less beef with Twitch for this and more beef with Blizzard, because I'm pretty sure they set the terms of how long this promotion was supposed to run. And so not only did I not get into the open beta program by opting in, I didn't get in for this. So I get to watch her play it over my shoulder.
Right, which is why I'm not playing it right now, actually.
Yeah,
to make you not be angry.
I would like to see it in real time at some point in the next couple of days, so we can talk about it. Before the end of the first open beta period.
Yeah, May 17th is the last day.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Other than that, we're still plugging along with stuff on the channel. I'm still getting gear set up so that way I am able to stream Lunar the Silver Star, played on original Sega hardware. Not Silver Star Story, not Silver Star Harmony, or not Silver Star Story Complete, but Lunar the Silver Star for the Sega CD. And I have a CDX unit, which I will be digging out of my storage bin at the bottom of my closet. And I have a little clear click capture box behind me that captures analog video as well as component and HDMI, and it does a whole bunch of stuff. And that's what we're going to do on Sunday nights in the not too distant future. I have to have time to actually dig this crap out of my storage bin and find all of the power adapters and requisite cables and controllers and so on and so forth. And then we're ready to roll. But that's the only special thing that isn't yet happening on the channel. On the quasi-adult side of things, I have stated on both of my Twitters that we need to get the Patreon up to over $1,000 a month so that I can continue to hire the artists if they want to see the home stretch of my sort of hentai magnum opus, Ship in a Bottle. It right now sits at $216 a month and has been on hiatus for over a year. So if you guys want to see the end of the first season of that series, and possibly a second one, we really need to work harder on getting the Patreon up, and I will be working on getting art and materials towards that very soon. And then, of course, back on the legitimate side of the studio, Starship Moonhawk, the Death of Perseus, is still moving along. Kira has almost finished the 3D model of the bridge. We're making rapid progress on that, considering the fact that she is a one-person army. Do you have any further commentary on that?
I'm guessing the answer is no.
She's rolling around as Wrecking Ball right now.
Yeah, I've been really enjoying playing Wrecking Ball lately. So
I was talking about the 3D set for the bridge of the Moonhawk.
Right, so it's almost complete. I mean, there are a few little things that'll be detail related later, but right now the last thing I've really got to do is put the command share in. There is a console that's not complete, but I'm not worried about it right now because we don't see it in any of the shots I've got set up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is the joke I made about fixing it in post. I said, well, if you can put some soft focus on that particular thing, then don't worry if it's not completely complete. So that's where that came from. But we are moving along, and hopefully we'll be able to actually send storyboards over to Nathan Bonner, who is working on part 2 of Act 2. So we're actually trying to set this up so we can work in tandem. And he's been making models in Moho. So we're working on Live 2D and Adobe After Effects on this side, and he's working on in Anime Studio Moho and After Effects on his end, completely independently of us. So we've given him all the assets and everything, and he's working on building functional models in that software. And now we have Moho, so we can actually cross-platform this biatch and get it all done. Like if we have to do scenes to where, he makes footage and it's missing a character that we have a model of, and then we can live 2D the rest of it into the footage, then that's how we're going to do it. It's going to be a rather interesting and complex project, but I think it'll go along a lot faster if we do it that way.
Yeah, that's kind of my thought process too.
Yeah, so we'll have shots with a character. We may have shots with a character doing something, and then we, as they say, shoop in the response with the other character that's missing because we have the model on our end. So it's going to be a rather interesting project, and I think everybody will be very pleased with how it turns out. The last bit of news I have before we get to the interview is that I took a look at the manuscripts for my as yet unpublished novels. I've decided they're garbage. So if everybody wants to see the long...
I mean, doesn't that happen with any artistic project that someone works on and then leaves and then comes back to after a certain amount of time?
You know, normally most big writers, their advice is to finish it and then edit. And what the conclusion I'm coming to is that these are unsalvageable. They're not representative of the person I wish to be. They're not representative of the person that I have evolved into after 20 years of them sitting on my hard drive. And
I mean, are the plot concepts salvageable, or is it just
but
completely...
I'd still have to write them over again from the outline from scratch, like trying to copy and paste stuff from one book into another. That's what got me in trouble in the first place. That's why The Fire in the Forge ended up stopping, was because my ex was reading it to do illustrations for it. We were gonna go all out, and I was gonna do a 300-page novel with an illustration in every chapter, kind of blending the whole teen fiction genre with young adult fiction genre with a full-length novel. And she kept saying, "Oh my God, this is boring." She's like, "I really can't get through this, so why don't you just tell me what you want me to draw in this chapter, and I'll do it." And that's when we paused for 13 years. So upon final reflection, I'm probably just going to start a whole new novel with the same title. Well, that's it for the news. All right, so now that I've put everybody on hold indefinitely here, we're going to get to the main event here. Of course, we welcome back to the studio our good friend Kurt Sasso of TGT Media. Kurt, welcome back to the show.
Good to be back. It's been a long, long time in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah, I'm now, upon reflection, I'm realizing that the last time you were on the show was before our first hiatus in 2014.
Well, it's good to be back.
Yeah. Now, of course, for those of you who are new listeners just tuning in for the first time, Kurt and I met back in 2008 or so when he was trying to coax me onto his brand new podcast, Two Geeks Talking.
Well, back then it was TGT Webcomics, so if you really want to be accurate.
But the TGT still stood for Two Geeks Talking. Or Two Guys Talking.
Actually, Two Guys Talking. Yeah,
right. Two Guys Talking webcomics. See, now it's my turn to mess things up because you did call my series Starship Moonshank. So.
Well, Starship Moonshine or something like that. Yeah, on multiple occasions. It wasn't just one time.
It became a recurring joke though. Every time we came on, we had a different name for it.
That is true. Yeah, good times.
So I was supposed to be the first guest, but because of a scheduling conflict, I ended up being the third. And then I co-hosted for a while, and it became a inspirational relationship, I'd say.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was we were like with every new beginning of any type of show or podcast.
Yeah.
It was really everyone was learning, the Wild West of podcasting back then. So it was a good time to kind of find your voice and find your style, and now 14 years later I'm still doing it.
Yeah, so in addition to podcasting, what else have you gotten yourself into in the last 7 years?
Oh God. Well, let's see. I decided to go back to university because I was in a dead-end call center job doing tech support. And so I took 4 years and completed a double major in visual arts, communication, media, and film, and a minor in computer science, while TAing 3 different classes and producing a live access cable show.
Wow.
That was just in 4 years. I was still doing Two Geeks Talking as well during that time,
Yeah.
and I even did 50 interviews. No, yeah, 50 interviews in 50 days.
I have a side question related to all of this. I know at one point you and I were talking, you were doing a road trip with your dad and doing a documentary also.
No,
No? Did
I
I mess that up?
You did, but that's okay. I'll forgive you for that. But it was a documentary. I'm still doing the documentary called Little Person Amongst Media Giants. And I'm still asking creative people that come on the show or at comic conventions the same 4 questions I've been gathering for these past 10 years. But it was because I wanted to meet Stan Lee and ask him these same questions, and I never got a chance to, unfortunately. So that's the reason for the documentary. But yeah. My dad still loves what I do, but he doesn't understand it. So
I know how that goes.
Every
Yeah.
time I post about my video game streaming on Twitch, my mom's like, "Well, you certainly have time to pay for video games, but you don't have time to pay for the electric bill." And I'm like, "Mother, me playing video games on Twitch helps pay the electric bill." Remember back in the
they
90s when you said I couldn't make money playing video games?
joke's on you now.
You were going to say? Sorry.
Oh, I lost my train of thought. It's fine.
Yeah, so if it wasn't for those halcyon days, then, I might not have started even this show.
Yeah, because you started it kind of a couple months after we did, or maybe a year or so after we did. I can't
I think it
quite
was about
recall
7
your
months.
timeline.
You started, I remember vaguely, in September or October of 2008. And,
August 8th, 2008.
yeah, there you go. And then I started in April of 2009.
There you
I
go.
had to get all the pieces in place. We had to get Adam here. We had to get Kira hadn't joined us yet. She didn't join us until
Right.
season 2 or 3.
2009, I believe.
Well, I mean, that was the first and second season, but you weren't here for most of the first season.
Hmm.
I used to make the mistake of leaving the microphone, and then
Yeah.
Kira and the crew would overshare.
Yeah. We had some post-show intro story.
Exactly. Did you ever have any moments like that where you're just like, oh man, I wish I'd had the microphone still turned on?
Oh no, I
Yeah.
recorded everything. So I still have a ton of after show stuff that has never seen the light of day.
Nice.
Incriminating evidence, as we like to call it.
Sure, well we'll go with that. But no, it's more like some amazing stories that kind of went really personal that I will never share whatsoever. And
Right.
it's the memories of having them on the show, whether they're still here or not. That kind of keeps me doing this show as I've been doing it for as long as I have. I mean, 1,000+ interviews is really nothing to sneeze at this point in time. So
Right. So after Phil Hofer left the show, you went to a sort of rotating co-host system.
yeah, so episode 61 was when I started doing everything solo, and that was with Laura Ennis. She was the first kind of one-on-one interview that I had. And I love working with Phil. Loved his energy that he brought to it, and I loved all the co-hosts that I had during that time and after that as well too. And so yeah, I had a lot of great co-hosts. Pretty much everyone from the Webcomic Alliance came on the show to host, which unfortunately is no longer. It ended today actually, which is ironic. So yeah, 12 years of that show is done. But a lot of them came on the show. Byron Wilkins, Don came on, and Ken and Anton and a bunch of others as well too. Just it was. I've had some amazing people, and more that I'm definitely forgetting. But I have a co-host page still on our website that kind of memorializes them for those that can find it. So it's still there.
I know this is always a sliding bar, but did you ever have? Do you have an interview that you did that still holds a special place in your heart as your favorite to date?
There's been a lot. I've had a lot more recently that have been really good, probably because I feel like I've gotten into the swing of things. But the first one that I always remember, at least from the old days, was Phil Folio coming on the show in episode 10. That was a huge deal for us, for me, as well too, just because of Girl Genius Online, the fact that it's still going strong to this day, and the fact that a professional like that took the time to come on a little show like ours at that time, and I thought that was amazing. More recently, I've had Scott Christian Sav on the show. He's always a wonderful person to talk to, especially with his film career and directing Animal Crackers and sorry, not directing, but putting that all together as well. Brock Heasley's come on the show a few times as well too. He's gone into filmmaking with some amazing works that way. I've had a lot of quicker interviews recently called Two Geeks Talking Rapid Fire, which kind of gets to the heart of the questions I normally ask with some talented people. I mean, I'm booked for the main show until October, but the rapid fire is booked until maybe June. I'd have to look, but yeah.
Well, you see, not to toot my own horn, but I think I'm going to have to get in on that action too, because Death of Perseus will be coming out before the end of the year. So, since you had me on in the early days for the webcomic, it's only fitting that you have me on for my first novel being translated into a film.
Be happy to have you. Just find an open slot and let's get her booked.
Right.
Totally.
All right, we'll talk about that in the post show. It's funny that you mentioned that you dropped these names because we actually have some interesting overlap there. In the heyday of this show, we actually had all of them on the show. I think except for Phil Foglio, because I had an imaginary feud with him over him winning a Hugo Award for science fiction.
Yeah, but that was probably justified though. So I mean.
Here I am in the midst of writing Starship Moonhawk, and then this guy, well, it's not really. It's more like gas lamp fantasy, and I'm like, you can't see the facial gesture I'm making right now because I don't have my camera on for this show, but I was just making a huh? I was like, okay. I used to do that. I used to have an imaginary feud with the late Harlan Ellison as well. He never knew about it, but I knew in my heart of hearts. And I'm friends with his old running buddy, David Gerald.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, whom, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this on the air, but I'm subtly trying to court him to help us write Space Destroyer Hunter. Which... Now, for those of you who don't know, David Gerald was the author, the mastermind, the mad genius behind The Trouble with Tribbles on Star Trek, the original series.
Nice.
Yeah. But that's in Nowhereville right now, so let's get back to Kurt. So you've expanded into a lot of different media now.
Yeah, well, since 2010 is when I switched to video primarily. The podcast was still going on, and it took a break so that I could focus on video. So the shows that I've recorded and edited, I'll be posting to a podcast format eventually, sooner than later. I'm still putting all that together, but for now, I've just been focusing on making the show as best I can with the technology that is currently available. And I mean, I transitioned from Skype to Google Hangouts to now Zoom, so we'll see what happens in the future. But I think that it's been a great advancement, not only in the show, but just to kind of get that visual face to face these days, and have a better connection than audio. I feel anyhow.
I had thought about doing a video format myself, where I had a window here with the guest on it, and they could at least see me. I haven't worked out the logistics of that yet. Did you run into any interesting problems trying to set that up originally?
Internet connections are the main thing. If someone's doing over a mobile phone, it's more than likely you're going to see a pixelated view or a very small window of what is there. So 5G isn't quite as good as people say when it comes to those types of calls. So we'll go from there.
God, I remember when we had Howie Noel Deacon on the show, and he was
Oh
trying
yeah,
to use his iPad from a hotel room on the road.
spotty Wi-Fi connection.
Oh my God! And so so he'd be like in the middle of something, and all of a sudden, I was like, Howie, are you still there? Oh God.
Yeah, it's been interesting. Like video cameras have made things so much easier, and internet speeds are way faster than when we first started. That's for sure. So that helps out a lot better.
Yeah.
I mean, but overall, it's amazing to see the talent and the use of technology in terms of not only the artists but the writers as well too. The resources that people have with social media and the creativity that they're coming up with the short form videos. It's just a great time to be a geek in this era.
Now, is there anything? I'm sure you've done quite a bit in the entertainment field now. You've covered a lot of different formats and genres. But is there anything that you haven't done that you would like to do?
Let's see. I know I've acted, I've directed, I've produced, I've edited. So I covered that side of things. But anything I wouldn't mind kind of working for maybe a feature or something along that line, even if it's serving someone coffee. I mean, I'd love to see a more professional side of the industry. I know I have a lot of friends that are in that area, that field, but to kind of just be in that energy and that atmosphere again, it was kind of it was invigorating. It was invigorating, I should say. And I think that it's something that I definitely want to get back to. I'm in the process of writing a few pilots and scripts as well too, that I've done shorts for that have been well received. So it just comes back to is if there's interest and if it's the right genre for the right time.
Yeah, I know we faced some interesting challenges trying to develop full television series for our YouTube channel. We got through the first 7 episodes of The Lavenders. We produced a pilot for a show called Covert Ops, which was supposed to be a vehicle for Carrie Means, Master Frylock from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. And one of the big stumbling blocks we've run across, of course, is getting funding. How have you faced that challenge as far as your own projects?
Well, I have the good fortune of working with people that are of like mind, and it's I'm I'm pausing only because I'm just trying to word it correctly. So realistically, it comes back to if you can find like-minded people to work on a project that everyone believes in, then it's easier to get things made. From a finance side of things, I haven't had to do anything too large scale enough to say take out a bank loan or approach other individuals that have better means than myself. So I think that it comes back to once I get to that stage of things, the connections I've made over the past 14 or so years should help with that venture. But as of right now, I'm not going to approach those people just yet until I have something a little more solidified. But for what I've been able to do and what I've been able to accomplish, it's all been out of my own pocket, and it's all been through various jobs I've had to do. And that's how I've survived, and that's how the show's survived all this time, sometimes to the detriment of my credit cards, but that's beside the point.
Well, that's kind of what I was getting at. I wanted to talk about the struggles of being a
independent creator.
Independent creator, yes.
Yeah,
that's the term.
It's tough. It's been tough, and it's still tough. I mean, the show hasn't been monetized since whenever they shut it off, which was 2016 during their great YouTube purge. I've been getting steady subscribers to the YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/TGT media. And I think that it's been a steady pace, and it's been great to see growth in that regard for something that I was trying to do organically, much to my own detriment. And it was a time factor as well too. It wasn't just my lack of social media presence. It was just I wanted to let the show grow naturally without paying for it. And so through the fact that I've had a great flood of amazing, talented, creative people that want to be on the show, I think it's helped, kind of boost what I'm trying to accomplish with Two Geeks Talking and with TGT Media as a whole. So it's been great. I love the fact that everyone is new. Everyone is different in terms of their creative process and style and genres. I mean, I've interviewed more people that are authors and that are into the horror genre than I have in 14 years recently. It's been great. Like, I love new and creative people.
Yeah, that's definitely kind of where I was going with that because we've really struggled trying to grow it organically ourselves. One of the things that I've had to tell some of the younger people just getting into it, bragging about being an influencer and so on and so forth. I hate to sound crotchety, but back in my day, we all we had was Project Wonderful to monetize our channels.
But if you had a comic, yes. But if you were just a podcast, you didn't have that functionality.
Right.
And that was the issue with back in the day. That was the issue with promotion of a show that didn't have an artistic side.
Mm-hmm.
It had a creative side in terms of showcasing other people's talents, but it didn't have the ability to say, like yourself with and Varys and everyone else that were talented in the term in the way of art. And so you could do your social media, you could promote your art, you could promote your works, and you could promote your comics as you should in terms of your social media. But as a show, as a podcast, it was difficult to do that because we were relying on word of mouth.
Yeah. You could buy ad space at substantial cost.
Right.
But,
and that was the other issue.
Yeah. But the return on investment was quite low.
Yeah. And if you weren't linked to the more popular sites, and that still holds true today, then your reach was non-existent.
Yeah, yeah. I think in the halcyon days of the early internet, a lot of people believed that you could just come up with an idea, create a website. Step 3, ? Step 4, profit.
Exactly.
Right.
But they had no clue what that step 3 was.
I mean,
Which is actually kind of the joke of that meme, but it's, not super observed.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that comes back to the whole iceberg meme as well too, where everyone sees the success, no one sees the bashing the head against the wall repeatedly to try to get your name out there.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I feel like I've missed a blank somewhere here, so I'm gonna give the rest of our crew an opportunity here. Let me start with Adam and see if he has any ideas on stuff I might have failed to ask you. Adam?
I'm not thinking, at least not back in the day. I'm like,
Go more recent.
Well, we could go more recent now. I mean, we don't want to purely be nostalgic.
Hang on. Well, I was thinking more the future. Like, what are you working upcoming?
Well, I got to get through 50 interviews first.
Well, tell us a little more about that then. Yeah, definitely.
Sure. I somehow Twitter decided to unlock the gate and allow one of my posts to actually gain some traction.
Mm-hmm.
And I got 50 plus interviews, filling my schedule up until October of this year.
Mm-hmm.
And that was back in November or December of last year. Because somehow a post just went viral, so to speak. At least for me, it was viral.
Right.
And so it was literally one of those things where people with Kickstarters and people that just wanted to be on the show. People through word of mouth from other past interviews decided to say, "Hey, let's get on Two Geeks Talking and let's be interviewed." So I'm like, "Awesome, let's do this." There's some days where I'm only recording 1 day a week, and I'll have like 3 interviews during that day, with an hour break in between. And even then, it's still not enough time sometimes. So I think that it's like I want to get through those 50, and I want to keep pushing and keeping this upward trend that we're finally receiving after all this time. It feels like we're getting into our stride after 14 years, and I think it's a great thing to do and see. And it's been a lot of hard work and a lot of stressful days and nights, and not knowing if I wanted to keep doing this or not. And for now, I'm going to keep doing it no matter what the case may be. But I want to get through what I can get through this year, and I if I get one of my pilots picked up, then great. I'll focus on that and put TGT on the back burner for a bit. But knowing my work ethic, I'll probably still keep doing it no matter what. So
Guilty as well. Guilty as well.
Yeah, exactly.
That brings up another interesting thought. Transitioning from a live, unscripted broadcast to one where you have a little more control over the content that goes out there, what does that do for the sort of pressure to produce?
Well, I'm going to say this right off the bat. The live unscripted was only because I didn't want to edit. Literally. That's why the shows were 2 hours long. That's why there was only one show I did that was 4 hours long. That was Trevor Mueller. That was a long time. Anyhow, long story short is the reason why I started editing was because I wanted to tighten up the show, because I felt it was getting just too loose. Even though I was only doing an hour show, maybe under an hour, whatever the case may be, I found that either my questions were wandering sometimes, or the conversation didn't quite get to a point, or maybe the guests had a lost train of thought. And I just didn't want to showcase that. I wanted to showcase their full train of thought in its entirety to the best of my ability. And so I made the conscious effort a couple of years back to focus on the editing side of things and focus on making the show a little more professional than what it had previously had been, while still giving the guest the ability to say their piece and promote themselves. And so I hopefully I've accomplished that, knock on whatever wood's around here. But yeah, it's fun. I'm actually enjoying doing the editing process of things. Sure, it's tedious as all hell, but I really think it's gotten a heck of a lot better than it definitely was.
Well, and it gives you an opportunity to showcase your own creativity as well in being able to make cuts, remove dead air, add in transitions and other things that might in some way increase the artistic value of the piece.
Well, yeah, I think more of it because it's talking heads. I mean, there's only so much that I can do with it. I haven't taken the liberty of adding graphics or anything along that line just yet, and maybe I will in the future. But when it comes to that side of things, I mean that's probably another step I'll have to accomplish. But I want to make sure that I'm using my own creative voice for that side of things. I don't want to just be a copy and a paste of what everyone else is doing on YouTube. And I don't think there's very many shows that do what I'm currently doing. There's a lot of talented creative people that are in comics and everything like that, interviewing other comic creators. And I think that's like the most interesting types of shows that I get to occasionally watch from time to time. But yeah, I think creatively, I find that it's amazing to do what we're doing for who we get to talk with, and let's keep doing it.
All right, so something a little more esoteric here. Since you're still doing webcomics, obviously, in the last 10 years, have you picked up any gems that you have really just said, oh man, I'm glad I do this for a living?
Sorry, can you explain that a bit?
Well, what I mean by that is have you found anything out there that is particularly interesting? Uh, you know what? I lost my train of thought. Adam, why don't you go ahead and just
Well,
I
as
think
I
I
was
know.
saying, are there any particular of the 50 interviews that you are looking forward to?
Oh, you have to make me open up my calendar, don't you? You bugger.
I mean, that's how it works, right?
you are in the hot seat.
More recently, I have some actors coming on the show. They're twins, actually. Twins, Basil, twins. Boy, that's an old reference. But John and Matt Wan, uh, they are actors and comic book creators and fans of Warhammers. They're coming up this coming Saturday or so. I got a manga artist from Japan coming up. Uh, Del Hewitt Jr. is coming back. I haven't talked to him in forever, so that's pretty awesome. And then skipping all the way to later on, let's see. There's a lot of names here that I'm not too familiar with, but I'll become familiar with the one that I get to talk. Yeah, that's about it, really.
Okay.
I mean, he asked about 50 plus people. I'm trying to go through my calendar link trying to sort of find things here.
I mean, I did not have to. I that would take a lot of time, I'd imagine.
Yeah, the editing definitely, especially if it's Kickstarters too, because those take priority. So I have to things that I have scheduled kind of get shifted around a lot too. So that's why you don't really see any unless I solidify my schedule when it comes to posting. You'll probably won't see anything on Twitter until maybe like the week before, where I'll start doing some auto posts. So I try to keep it so I'm
And
not killing people with spam.
Well, back to my attempt.
and
Oh, go ahead. No, sorry.
yeah, and kickstarted content.
Well, yeah, people that with Kickstarters. So any comic that is scheduled that have a Kickstarter ongoing during their interview,
I see. I
yeah,
see.
gets kind of pushed to the front of the queue. So it's a
Yeah.
faster time to edit. So I'm still trying to figure out my process for that, and that's going to take a little bit more time. But I'm getting into a better flow, especially looking at the way the audio cues are, because I can tell the difference between my voice and someone else's. So making the initial cuts so that I can align audio better really does speed up my process.
I see.
Right.
So going back to my attempt at a question there,
Okay.
I did say that the entire interview was going to be a conversation rather than a polished attempt at A to B to C and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
But what I was trying to get at was, have you found anything in particular that people might not have heard of that you said to yourself, "Gosh, why is this not more popular? How did I find this, and how did they get on my show?" And and why aren't more people knowing about this?
Are we talking about like webcomic, or are we talking about like just
Webcomics,
anyone in
or I
general?
guess at this point we could expand it to anything.
Mm.
Whatever gives the longest answer.
Sorry, I'm trying to save your editor time as well
There's
too.
no editing. This is a live podcast. It's going to go pretty much like this straight to YouTube.
Oh, great. Oh, alrighty then.
People are listening to us right now on the air on
Oh,
Twitch.
great. That's great. Thanks for giving me the heads up on that one.
Oh, I thought you knew. We've always
No, I
done it
didn't.
live. We've always done it
That's
live. Sorry
well,
about
that's
that.
good. No, that's cool. Not like I was saying anything.
I
Anything
made
bad.
sure not to ask anything especially controversial.
That's a good thing. I think one of the more recent ones that I had that I think people are kind of sleeping on is the Grode Show with Stephen Cogan and Jess Adams is one of the actresses there, but it's with Jim O'Hare from Parks and Rec. And he's like kind of like the lead, so to speak, in that show, and it's a great show on YouTube, and you should check it out there for sure. That was one of the more interesting ones. Another one from Snowpa Publishing was like Sam Quinton and Alex Veldenhausen did 47 Furious Tales, which is like the 47 Ronin, but anthropomorphic, and it's in a beautiful watercolor style that everyone should be definitely looking at.
Oh.
Let's see. Another one recently, two actually, is Kristen Herrera does if you like superheroes, but you want to see it from a sidekick perspective, it's called Sidekick for Hire. It's basically about a bumbling sidekick that gets his hero killed, no matter who he goes with. It's hilarious, but it also has some great themes and talking points as well too. Is that you or me?
Doing what?
What are you hearing?
I heard a beep.
Huh, it's not. I didn't hear a beep, so it's got to be you.
It must be me. And then Chuck Satterley and Jeremy Megart did Monsters and Midways, which is about 1970 Chicago supernatural shenanigans. Beautifully drawn as well too. So yeah, those are a couple that have kind of like creeped up recently that have been pretty amazing.
Awesome. All right. We're getting towards the end of the period that we usually reserve for the interviews. So let me wrap up by asking: do you have any appearances or upcoming things that you particularly want to highlight?
Sorry, hold on. I gotta fix my battery here. This is bugging me. Be real quick.
All right. The dangers of live broadcasting.
Of course, that's how they get you.
So anything upcoming? What was the question?
Okay,
Anything
so
upcoming?
any events, appearances, or particular items that you'd like to highlight that are coming up in the immediate foreseeable future, like right after this broadcast, for example.
After these messages, but wait, no. Wrong thing.
This week, etc.
I have filmmaker and TikTok star, YouTube star Jesse Cowell coming on the show. Well, his interview will be released this coming Friday. He's a amazing talent that I've known for many years, and Anthony Stokes from Decay 1 and 2 is another one coming up in the following week. But really, it's just everything that's been on the show for Two Geeks Talking is really on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/TGT Media. So that's where you can find pretty much everything. And there's going to be a lot more coming down the pipe that I haven't even edited and posted yet.
Oh wow. Well, that's good to hear. I'm glad that you're keeping busy and hitting your stride. That's always good to hear because, like I said, I've stumbled a few times myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tough when you stumble, but we keep at her.
All right. Well, that ends our formal interview segment, and I want to thank Kurt Sasso of TGT Media for being on our show, being our good friend for all these years, and helping us to make an episode.
Oh, thanks for having me, and I'll be happy to come back on maybe under 7 years this time.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll have more to talk about on our end as well. Something that could be a prelude to my next visit on TGT.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, now, you're welcome to stick around, of course, if you wish. We have an entertainment segment coming up for the next 15 to 20 minutes or so where we're going to talk about things going on television, anime, whatever you may wish to jump into, so feel free to commentate, and that starts now. Adam, take it away.
Right, so I suppose we'll open up with none of those things and instead go into theme parks. Because, Well,
Damn.
Jesus. Okay.
well, it's because this is a thing that's been in the news, especially
Disney.
here. Let me
Disney.
get through this, like,
All right.
because something I was wanting to bring up last week but didn't get the opportunity. And you've probably heard about it. It's the continuing imbroglio of the Disney Corporation and one Ronald DeSantis. Like,
And
and
people not understanding how money works.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Petty, are you okay over there? You started breathing heavily.
Oh, I am?
Yeah.
Huh.
yeah,
All right. Sorry about that.
right. So, a lot of stuff actually going on here, but the short version is because the Disney Corporation has decided to, after much public pressure, threats of walkouts, all that stuff we've talked about before, they are now in opposition to the Don't Say Gay bill, kind of late, to actually do anything about it since,
Right.
it's been signed into law.
But obviously, late is enough to be offensive to people who are very thin-skinned about this kind of thing.
Well, okay, so let me get to the real reason why this is happening. It's because Disney stopped giving politicians money. Like, specifically, they put a pause on all campaign donations. And that's the real reason why DeSantis and his fucking flunkies are riled up.
Spoilers, Disney gives very lots of campaign donations.
Yeah.
Well, and apparently they were paying for their own infrastructure too. So
That's
Okay, so that's a really complicated, and that's part of why the backlash on this that the governor did is completely stupid.
so it's going to cost
But
them
yes,
a lot.
since quite a while ago, Disney has been running a semi-independent government infrastructure thing. Like they have their own, I think, police and stuff.
Yeah.
The Reedy Creek Improvement District.
Yeah. And so this move that they have made is not only going to cost them campaign donations, but it's also going to cost the state over $1 billion to fix.
So okay. Getting into the complications and complexities of the situation, there's been an update to that story that came out today.
Okay.
And it's actually been expected after, like, I believe it was the Orlando Sentinel did some deep diving into the clauses and conditions of the setup and found out that Florida can't unilaterally just dissolve the Reedy Creek Improvement District
because of the debt.
Mm-hmm.
They've actually got to pay that all off.
It's like disincorporating a town without resolving its debts. It's the same thing.
That is exactly what's going on here. And the Disney Corporation has actually finally broke its silence, and has told its investors that such a thing wouldn't be possible until at least 2029, and is operating business as usual. And yeah, and to add on to the pile here, it's also they need the permission of like the people who live like
in the district, yes.
Yeah, to actually be in favor of this, and they are not, because shock upon shocks, they don't want their property taxes going up $2,500, and it's been.
I was
Not
whistling.
exact.
Yeah.
Yeah. because it'd be a lot because the surrounding counties can't actually raise the money that Disney can.
Yeah, that's the other issue here is the if they did dissolve it, everyone in Florida would be paying for a lot.
Nosebit's face has been spited.
Yeah, I'm like, and there's been a debate going on whether or not DeSantis knew about this, because the whole thing is being called performative, and there's a fair chance that is the case because, this toxic burr has been doing a lot of stuff, not just to make people miserable. I mean, that's kind of the conservative way of life, but it's also because he and the hype machine is kind of building him as a potential presidential candidate in 2024. How much that's actually going to be a reality definitely remains to be seen, because, just among shitty Republican governors, we've got him and Greg Abbott just at the top of the list. And of course, there's Brian Kemp, and, that's not even getting into the former guy who is expected to challenge in 2024. But, yeah, so that's the whole fucking kerfuffle that's been occurring here. So, a lot of headaches. Though, it's not exactly sure who's getting the headache here.
Right.
It's like, outside of, it's not Disney. In fact, apparently this actually gives Disney a greater say in what to do with the debt discharge than it did previously. Look, the point is, if this was actually meant to harm Disney, it did not. At least, not any perceivable way. So, it is the petulant politics of the petty and hypocritical, because, this is an actual free speech issue on top of everything else. But, do you see Republicans having a problem with it? Of course they don't. Because, well, they're Republican. Anyway, shifting to less stupid news stories. Remember Avatar? As in, remember James Cameron's Avatar?
I only remember it for being completely unmemorable.
One of the worst movies I watched in the theater. I almost walked out watching this warmed over Dances with Wolves.
But yet it made a fuck ton of money.
Right. And, it was hyped up, and, it was the harbinger of 3D technology, blah, 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 and then fucking disappeared into the ether for the most part because, mediocre at best happens to do that.
Well,
at least until now, because apparently Avatar 2 is a real thing. Or
Avatar 2 through 5, you mean?
Well, no, Avatar 2, because Avatar 2 has gotten a real name. It's Avatar: The Way of Water, or Way of Water, which actually would have been a good title for the Last Airbender movie.
No, I mean if you've actually been closely watching this.
Yes, he wants to do 5 movies. We're going to take this one at a time.
Yeah, but the thing is that he has been doing concurrent development on films 3 through 5 as well. It's very much like when Richard Donner tried to make Superman 1 and 2 all at once, and I think it's going to go about as well.
That's nice, but
we're not like Avatar 3 through 5 don't have things like a actual name or, more importantly, a release date.
Or a script.
Right.
Each of the films is supposed to take on a different thing. So the first one had an air theme. The second one has a water theme. I'm sure we'll have earth and fire before too long. That way we'll cover all of the elements until we get to the fifth. Wait.
Right, which is going to be hard.
It's like Captain Planet and the Fifth Element had a bad baby.
I was about to say, for the sixth movie that's just the Avatar dude turned into Captain Planet, I'm punching whatever is nearby.
And anyway, yeah, so this is a real thing, apparently. It's getting released during Christmas. Also, the original movie is getting a re-release in September with 4K remastering, and also film studio. Also, I hope you remembered your 3D glasses, because they're still pushing 3D glasses with this piece of shit. Like, yeah, that's my thought on 3D when it comes to movies.
You know, I've seen the original movie twice. Once in 3D in the theaters, and once on television. And I think I had the DVD at one point.
That was also probably released during the brief time when home theater 3D was getting a push.
Yeah, I never.
I've still never seen a movie in 3D and have no desire to.
I never watched it again in 3D, but I don't know. I didn't hate the movie as much as you seem to have.
Oh, be glad Kevin's not here this week.
Oh.
He'd be ranting quite a lot about Avatar. Like, he hates it more than I do, which is impressive.
I just think there's a lot of ironies here. It's a rip-off of another film, and then it had a soundtrack that was a rip-off from several other films composed and conducted by the same composer, who was accused of ripping off his own material for years.
Be glad that John Fogerty won that case.
Oh my god.
Deep cuts. Anyway, moving onward.
Who's going to be attempting to do the soundtrack for this film?
I did not see. I'm going to assume like Howard Shore or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or does James Cameron have someone he usually works with in terms of composing?
God. Well, see, that was the thing. He used to work a lot with James Horner, and since he passed away in a piloting accident.
Cinematography.
So he
Here
did.
we go.
Based on style, I guess you could go with James Howard or.
Okay, music is apparently going to be composed by Simon Franklin and James Horner. Reuse score.
Great.
Any series is probably going to reuse some of the score, but
yeah,
I was surprised. I was surprised at how little John Williams music was used in the Star Wars spin-offs.
That was probably a mandate.
Yeah.
And Officer sequels.
Yeah, I'm like, it's not that surprising to me because, either John Williams would have royalty arrangements with the music,
mm-hmm.
or, Luke would be tightly controlling of such assets.
Yeah.
People think that just because a corporation owns this and that they can just freely use it. And I'm like, no, that's not always how it works. I'm like, that, just a really good example, prominent example is Disney and Mickey Mouse. Like, even if you like internal
it's like if you want to use Mickey Mouse for something, there's a whole host of rules and attachments
Oh yeah.
because
The
Hence, hence creative use of a watermelon in the DuckTales cartoon.
the age-old feud between Alexander Courage's estate and Roddenberry Productions.
yes,
Another good example. Never fully resolved in the lifetimes of the disputing parties.
grudges, they do go on. And moving on to animation, it has been announced that HBO Max has officially picked up the Harley Quinn spinoff Noonins. Or so this is basically Cheers, but supervillains,
God.
and it's
Just give us Harley Quinn season 3 already.
Yeah,
well.
Harley.
Before I get to that, there is news there. Noonins is going to be the vehicle for. I hesitate to use the word breakout character because I know there's been fandom before Harley Quinn, but certainly Kite Man's popularity has shot up since,
Doesn't he have the same voice as Barry from Archer? He certainly sounds like it.
Don't remember offhand. I would have to, it's possible, very possible, but yeah, it's basically Kite Man as Sam as from Cheers.
God.
Well, that's the pitch at the very least.
Okay.
And yeah, I know people are very enthusiastic about this because
I like him.
I think a lot of people are kind of fans of the idea of having supervillain characters only without the unfortunate side effect of them doing bad things.
Yeah, but Galix, Kite Man. I'm just gonna let that hang there.
I mean, the entire reason they used him for Harley Quinn is because his gimmick is such a
joke,
inoffensive, ineffective. But mostly a joke.
Not the first time that would happen. I mean, that was kind of a lot of the premise of Batman: Brave and the Bold, the animated series.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like
Could be worse. They could be actually. The Condiment King should work there. Actually, never mind.
Well, you mentioned the Condiment King. He in the Harley Quinn universe, the Condiment King and Kite Man are arch rivals. Not. There's an entire episode dedicated to that, or at least the B plot.
I know. I've watched the whole damn thing.
Well, I mean,
I got to admit, Sal was one of my favorite characters too. I could just hear him. I could being Jason Alexander, of course. I'm telling you, Jerry. God.
Yes.
I kept hearing George every 5 seconds.
Well, I mean, he voiced Cyborg Man, or was it the Penguin?
No, it was Cyborgman.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it was Cy. That was the name of the character. I couldn't think of his.
Yeah.
What he was before, he turned himself into a robot and could transform into a car.
Fucking Turbo Teen reference. Not even joking. But we do not have the space to delve into Turbo Teen.
No.
Oh, no. But in regards to Harley Quinn season 3, I think one of the showrunners not so subtly hinted that it's coming this summer.
Ah.
Yeah.
It's just that the second season came out so quickly on the heels of the first one. The pause, of course, is a little,
Well, that's because those were done like concurrently or part of the same order or something. Like they actually had to make more episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And of course, COVID and all that stuff, keeping everybody out of
Right.
the office.
I mean, that'd do it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Harley Quinn season 3 is apparently close at hand, ish. Keep in mind we don't have an actual month,
Right.
because keep in mind when you say summer, you could mean August, September.
Right.
Yeah.
And speaking of things that changed as a result of COVID, I'm curious. I'm always curious now how they change, because they said that what happens in season 2 and 3 of Star Trek Picard was not exactly the original plan verbatim. Like, they had always envisioned some of these things happening, but I think that had they been closer on the heels of the first season, we might have gotten a very different season 2. Like, there were certain things they couldn't do because of the time skip. But that's, I guess that's a conversation for another time.
Yeah. And I think that's about all the news that's fit to print this week.
Well, I mean, we can't get away, since I use it as a promotional vehicle, we have to briefly mention Twitter.
I mean, we talked about that last week.
Yeah, but there's been a new development.
Right.
Aside from the board accepting Musk's offer, there is a chance he might back out.
Or be forced to back out.
Yeah, because the markets have not liked this maneuver.
No, it has hurt both Tesla and Twitter.
Yeah.
Well, and part of the reason it's hurt Tesla is because apparently he, in order to pay for the huge amount of money that he would pay for Twitter, he basically took out a loan against the value of Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Which is going to cost
which
him $40
is not good for the value of the thing you're taking the loan out against on.
Well, apparently since April 1st, it's taken a hit to the tune of $40 billion if these sources are to be believed.
I mean, it's down a lot. It recovered a bit today, but it's like technology stocks in general aren't doing well. But yeah, like the market is speaking through stocks, and it does not like this. And it's like, even if the deal goes through, it's a question of how long can Musk hang on to Twitter, because the debt payments on this plan are through the roof.
That's another thing. He has specifically said he wants to take it over, but just for the alleged free speech thing. He doesn't have any plan on how to make it profitable or any particular intent to come up with one. Which, yes, I actually approve of that as a thing for Twitter. But when you're doing a corporate buyout, the people who are party to that don't like hearing that kind of thing.
Well, there's a few things that would also go against him. What is it? Section 230 of the one that Trump was always railing against of the Telecommunications Act. Yeah. Because if he takes the company and then takes it private, gets rid of the board of directors, gets rid of all the oversight and all that stuff, won't that inhibit his special protections under that section of the Telecommunications Act?
Well, that's probably the least of his problems.
Well, but I mean, it would open him up to 100% liability on all of the day one lawsuits, which I assume will be legion.
But it's not just that, but he's got hate speech laws to worry about. Not just here, but Europe is going to be especially a thorny thing.
They've already clubbed him on that one.
Well, it's not just hate speech there. Like, Germany has a actual provision against Nazi speech symbols by law.
Mm-hmm.
And also the EU has passed new regulations about advertising and micro-targeting.
Mhm.
Like, that's going to have to be followed. I'm like,
Yeah, it's like if you cancel the entire ad model of the platform, how do you intend to monetize going forward? You can't just keep throwing your own non-existent play money that is tied up in Tesla stock into it. It just
see, this
yeah.
is what I was talking about in regards to that. When people talk about, net worth, people think, oh, that's, how much actual money, how much cash they have lying around. And I'm like, no, that is how much they are worth in terms of their assets
Mhm.
and their stock. And that's why, no, Musk did not have $40 billion or $54 billion or whatever to just spend on Twitter. It'd probably actually be a lot easier for him if he had that cash lying around, but
Right.
he didn't. So, he's doing this through a loan against the stock, and he's also going to have institutional banks backing the other half.
Right.
And
it's not like he'll be free. It's not like he'll be free to use it as his playground. He's going to have. He's still going to have taskmasters to be beholden to, who can pull the plug on it because they think he's a big risk.
I'm not sure how these banks got on board in the first place.
Yeah.
Given the actual financials on display are, look, in terms of finance, this is a bad deal.
Yeah.
This is a really fucking bad deal. And, I don't blame the stockholders, especially of Tesla, because their fucking equity is tied up in this now.
Right.
Just, I'm expecting this thing to fall apart one way or another.
Oh yeah. It's honestly in his best interest to back out now. It's not a matter of what he will or won't do. It's a matter of that this is personal and financial suicide for him to basically try to buy the world's biggest vanity plate.
Yeah.
The thing is, will his ego allow him to back out?
But the ultimate insult right now is that Truth Media is actually now trending vastly higher on the App Store than Twitter.
Make of that what you will, but
the most ridiculously opaque so-called free speech platform in the history of social media is now beating out Twitter because of this debacle. Whew.
Yeah, and there are other things, like apparently, according to the actual terms of the definitive agreement, he can't actually disparage Twitter while the buyout is, going through the motions. That's another thing.
So, of course, he proceeded to do that immediately.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
That's another thing. Let's see. He's still got to clear the SEC, which
they could block it instantly. They could just say, "Yeah, you can't do that."
Yeah, I'm like, and it's not like he hasn't had problems with the SEC. Like, oh wait, he actually has, and he settled because he fucking talked up a stock and finance his Tesla stock, and he had financing that he didn't. And by the way, in regards to that, he's actually facing a shareholder lawsuit with Twitter shareholders because of the 9% thing he did, and he didn't disclose that in a proper manner. Like,
this whole thing is a mess. But I hope, if anything good is to come out of this, I hope it is to finally highlight once and for all to the public the complexities and nuances of finances and how, a 240 character tweet is not going to solve everything from world hunger to student debt.
No. But
It's
believe
just...
me, it's the reason why I hate very online leftists, because they think that just posting through social media that they're going to change the world. And I'm like, no, that's why you keep losing. It's because you don't actually get off your ass and do the actual legwork.
A big thing that we talked about on last News Desk on the Left that I've always been railing against. It's like, look, you got to put in the work, or it's like that. It's like that meme song goes: "If you got to show up if you want to get it done." And
it's like if you want progressives in office, fine, you got to vote them in. And I know people have been bashing David Hogg for his hey, let's actually get progressives at the local level. Like, no, that's actually what they need to do.
Yes, I've been saying that for what now, a decade and a half.
Yeah, but before this turns into the last news desk on the left, let's.
No. I got you, and that was pretty much the only point I wanted to make was that this is just blown up all the evils of our current system of discourse. I think,
Yeah.
and like I said, I hope that there is a wedge of light at the end of this tunnel. Where people wake up a little bit, even if not everybody does. You know what I mean?
We'll see on that.
I just really hope. It's like I said on Facebook the other day, a couple days ago. I said the problem, and I said it on Twitter too. I said the problem with the whole deal here is that people place too much value in things that don't have any real consequence. If you're looking for equity, if you're looking for justice, if you're looking for a free speech platform, any of these things, you're not going to find it in corporate America. There's just the problem with corporations is they're beholden to the stockholders, not to morality, not to justice, not to anything else. Profit is king. And so as long as that is the case, then just don't get married to the idea, because it's going to come and bite you in the ass.
Anyway.
Yep. So that's my soapbox for this week. Let's see. I don't have the sheet in front of me. Who do we have? Do we have next week set up already?
Yes. Hang on. Let me look that up, as I don't have the sheet in front of me either.
There we go.
But
go ahead.
Yeah. No. Got it.
All right. Actually, it looks like we have another old friend coming on.
Yeah.
So one of our earlier guests from the original MSP, Lou Graziani of Cyborg, the webcomic, and he's also done a major Star Wars fan film recently that he's quite proud of, if I'm not mistaken. So that will be our guest next week. And episode 12 is still TBA, so we better fix that quick, fast, and in a hurry, because I've got a list of people we could possibly put in there. So,
yeah, I mean, I filled up half of May. You guys fill up the other half.
All right, so we'll have more information on that as things develop. But until then, we've got Lou Graziani next week of the Cyborg webcomic, and we'll be talking about Star Wars fan films and the state of fan films as they sit right now. So that's it for this week's episode. Of course, I am your host, and on behalf of the crew here at Moonhawk Studios Presents, thanks for watching. Stay safe out there, kids.